Welcome to Binge Breakthrough, the podcast designed to help you finally break through the barriers that keep you stuck feeling out of control around food. I'm Master Certified Coach Jane Pilger, and I want you to know that no matter how long you've been struggling or what you've tried, food freedom is possible, and I'm here to show you how. After years of therapy, eating disorders treatment, restrictive diets, and reading all the books, I was still stuck in the on-again, off-again cycle of restricting and binging until I was able to see it all from a new perspective that changed everything. Each week, I will share the strategies, tools, and mindset that allowed me to overcome my decades-long battle with binge eating. Your journey to body trust starts now. Let's dive in. Hello, trusted listener. Welcome to Binge Breakthrough. I consider you a trusted listener because I trust that you are here for a reason. I trust that you're going to hear something that is insightful and impactful on your journey with food. Now, today, I'm going to get vulnerable with you. And I want to share something that's very common, but you would never know it because nobody talks about it. But today, I am going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you what happened when I first started my business and how I have navigated my own food and body image struggles while still helping other people. So I want to paint a picture for you of what it was like when I first started my coaching business. There I was, newly certified as a coach. I was excited. I was so ready to help others overcome their struggles with food. But behind the scenes, I was actually living a secret that it filled me with shame. I can remember this one particular day so vividly. It was probably about an hour before a client call, and I found myself drawn to the pantry. And I'm in the pantry. My eyes are just darting from shelf to shelf, looking around, deciding what can I eat. I had this familiar restlessness, this feeling in my body that just tingles, like I just wanted to get out of my skin. And I knew I had this call coming up, but I simply just could not resist this urge. I started eating and I told myself, just this one thing, don't eat too much. But I kept eating and eating, and minutes ticked by, way more than just minutes. I was still in the pantry, handful after handful. I was eating chips. I was eating cookies. I was eating chocolate, barely tasting any of it. But I wasn't really even in the moment. I was there. I was eating. I was definitely making these decisions, but I was not in the moment. I wasn't really paying attention. After those first few things that I ate, I was no longer even noticing the crunch of the chips or the smoothness of the chocolate. Those things that I noticed in those first few bites, all of that was gone. Time just seemed to blur. I literally was just lost in that repetitive cycle of what else can I eat? What else can I eat? What else can I eat? And as that hour wore on, I could feel the pressure building in my stomach. It was this uncomfortable fullness, and I was trying to ignore it, seeing how much can I eat. It went from don't eat too much to how much can I eat? How much can I eat until I have to stop? I had this dryness in my mouth and my throat was kind of sore. I had some rawness up at the top of my mouth from eating so fast, but I couldn't stop. It was like I was on autopilot. My hand was just moving from the article of food to my mouth without much conscious thought. The only thought really was, what else? What else can I eat? What else can I eat? And then Now it's just minutes before the call. I realized how long I had been standing there. I looked around. I could see the wrappers. I could see all of the evidence, all of the damage that I had done, all of the food that I had eaten. I knew my call was coming up. So I went into the bathroom. I looked in the mirror and my heart, I could kind of feel my heart racing. I couldn't really breathe very well, partially from like eating so quickly and so much, and partially from this fear and the shame. I did not want to be discovered. So I'm looking in the mirror, looking at my face. I want to make sure that there's no evidence. There's no smears of chocolate at the corner of my mouth or stuck in between my teeth. And then I was able to just turn something on right away. It's what I now recognize was this superpower, really, of disconnection. It's the same disconnection that I had while I was in the pantry eating all this food. I was able to turn that back on before the call. I disconnected from myself, this disconnecting from the physical discomfort, from the fullness, from the shame. I disconnected from the dryness in my mouth, all of those other things. I just pushed it all away. And I put on my coach hat. And as soon as that call started, there I was. I was present. I was attentive. I was supportive. To my clients, I appeared calm, collected, and in control. They had no idea that just minutes before, I had been in the throes of a binge, feeling out of control and ashamed. This was my reality. I was a binge eating coach, binging in secret. And I'm sharing the story with you because authenticity is one of my values. It's important to me that I'm honest with other people and that I'm honest with myself. I am just starting to learn more about how the brain and the nervous system respond to honesty versus dishonesty, and I'm fascinated by it. I am sure this will end up being a future podcast episode, so just let this idea, this concept, be an interesting seed that we can plant and explore more in the future. But for now, just know the nervous system really does respond to honesty versus dishonesty differently. So this is why it's so important to really look at where we are being dishonest, where we are hiding what is happening for ourselves. Now, I wrote an article this week on Substack, and I reflected on what I wish I knew when I started my business. There is so much that I wish I knew. And this is probably true for anybody who is first starting a business or really starting anything. And if you want to read that, I'll put a link in the show notes. You can read the full story there. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to my Substack and you want to get weekly insights and inspiration, you like what you're hearing on the podcast, you'd love to hear more, even more personal stories about what is happening for me and how I navigate life, subscribe over there. You can do that through, I'll put a link in the show notes. But here's the gist. There I was. I'm newly certified. I'm ready to share my story about my own struggles with binge eating so that I can help other people. I thought I had it all figured out. And there I was. I found myself binging again. I thought I had figured out all of the answers, but the binges came back and I couldn't get out of the cycle. I was helping people. I had clients. I was helping people. They were having success, but I felt like such a fraud. And I was terrified to tell anybody about what was happening. It felt like I was talking about and thinking about food all of the time. If I wasn't helping clients and talking to them about their food struggles, I was so focused on my own binges, what I had eaten, what I was going to eat. It was just constant. My brain was so full. It was all food all the time. It was such a challenging time, and I felt so much like a fraud. But when I look back on this time now, I can see this period as a real gift. Of course, it did not feel that way at the time. But here's what it showed me. It showed me that I really didn't have it figured out, that there was more for me to learn. As I always say, binges are lights on the dashboard. They tell us something is going on under the hood. If the binges are there, there's something to learn. So it was shortly after this period of time that I began to learn more about the nervous system and the importance of creating safety and trust with myself and my body. And up until this time, I had been so focused on the food, what to eat, what not to eat, when to eat. I had been so focused on changing my thoughts. Just figure out what your thoughts are, and if you change them, then you'll change your results. But the reality is that I was still very disconnected from my body. And I was so disconnected from what was actually taking place inside. I was thinking about what was the thoughts that were in my head, but I was not actually in my body. And so this deep dive into the nervous system, into learning more about the impacts of trauma and how we disconnect from ourselves, often with food, it took my own knowledge and understanding to the next level. It allowed me to find true peace and relief within myself and to truly change my relationship with myself and my body and food, all food. But it didn't end there. I wasn't just magically at a finish line with no food or body image issues to be found. I didn't have it all figured out. I was definitely many steps ahead of my clients, but I wanted to be better than I was. I wanted to not have any more urges, to not have any more binges. And I thought the only way that I could help people was to fully overcome my problems, to be at a finish line. No more urges, no more binges, no more problems, no more challenges when I look in the mirror. And so when I would have a binge, I would be so ashamed. I would think, I'm not doing the things I tell my clients to do. So who am I to help them? I didn't feel like I had anyone to turn to. So there were times over these years I would join a group coaching program. Sometimes I would get individual support through a coach or through a therapist who specialized in disordered eating. Sometimes I would try to figure it out on my own, maybe through books. Sometimes I would try to figure it out through conversations with my closest friends and with my husband. And here's what I noticed that was really interesting during all of this time and in the various group coaching programs I have joined over the years. There were always at least a handful of coaches or healing professionals in these groups. These individuals were helping other people, but they were still struggling with their own issues. And they had a lot of shame about it. And I was fascinated by this. The more I got to see and got to know other people in these groups, I thought it was so interesting. Here's why. Because you don't ever hear healing professionals talking about their own struggles. So often they share their stories and their perspectives as if they have it all figured out. Now, I think it's very possible that some of them might, but I think what's more likely to be the case is that they don't have it all figured out, and that when they do struggle, they don't think they can talk about it because they're afraid of what other people would think about them and how it might impact their business or their reputation. Now, this makes so much sense. The nervous system is always scanning for threats. And being rejected or being seen as a fraud is a very big threat. So we hide. We struggle in silence. We don't want anyone to know that we don't have it all figured out. It feels so bad to be in a cycle with food or your body image where your thoughts were consumed with how to fix yourself or what you need to do to change. And this cycle often keeps us eating for so many reasons. It feels like you can't get out of the cycle and that you have nowhere to go because you don't want to be found out. I have been there, and I've talked to so many clients who have been there. And for a long time, it's been on my heart to create a safe space for coaches and healing professionals who are struggling with their own food and body image issues to come and receive support. I actually recently did some market research to find out if there is a need for this type of thing. I thought that there would be based on my own experience and talking to colleagues and clients. And I was right. The results were a resounding yes. This is so needed. A lot of people participated in the market research, and they said, I felt like you are talking to me. I have often wanted a place to go. I have my own challenges and my own struggles, and I have nowhere to go. So I'm excited to announce the Stop the Secret Struggle Food and Body Coaches Support Circle. Now, if you're listening to this podcast when this episode airs in September of 2024, the support circle is starting at the end of this month. It's a program that's going to run through early December. And the link with all of the details is going to be in the show notes. But if you're listening at a later time and you want to learn more about the possibility of receiving support for your secret struggle, reach out to me. If for some reason the link that's in the show notes is old, you want more information, just reach out and we will make sure that you can get the support that you need. Now, if you're thinking, I am not a healing professional, I am not a coach, but I'm listening and I'm hearing about the challenges of struggling in secret. I want you to know there are ways you can apply this to your own life. So think to yourself, where in life are you struggling secretly? If you're listening to this podcast, it's likely that the struggle is with food. Now, here's what I know to be true. It is very hard to overcome a secret struggle without letting anyone else in. The way that the nervous system works, when we feel like we need to hide, it feels like a threat. We can't really bring that logical brain on board to help overcome the challenges, to figure out. We stay more in that threatened nervous system response, which then has us in that cycle that keeps us eating, keeps us wanting to hide. There's a real reason that we stay in this cycle. So the question then becomes, if I can't overcome, I don't want to say you can't. If it is hard, if it's challenging to overcome a secret struggle without letting anyone else in, the question becomes, who do you let in? How do you decide who is safe enough to help support you through your secret struggle? And this is the key for any struggle. Anywhere at all in life that you are struggling, find someone who can help support you through it. We are not meant to do life alone. You are struggling for a reason. There's a great chance you can't even see the reason because we all have blind spots. There is also a very real healing power in the brain of true connection with another human who understands, who is able to be there, who is safe enough to support you. Now, if your secret struggle is with food and you're using food to disconnect from yourself, from your body, and from whatever else is happening that's making you want to disconnect, the solution is connection. It's finding someone who is safe enough that can help you learn how to connect with yourself, how to work with yourself, and how to come up with alternative solutions that will meet the true needs that you have. The needs that you're trying to get met with food, but simply aren't actually meeting the real needs underneath the surface, underneath that hood. I know that it feels safe to keep your struggles a secret, but it really isn't safe. And it definitely doesn't help you overcome your struggles. If anything, it makes them grow. The true safe solution is to find someone to support you, someone who understands, who has been there, who can guide you through it. So if you're a coach or you're a healing professional and you have felt like there is nowhere for you to go to get the support you need, I would love to have you join me in Stop the Secret Struggle. This is the safe space I wish I had when I was going through this myself. Not only will I help you with your struggles, you will have tools and resources that you will be able to take and apply with your own clients. The compound effect of the work that you do on yourself always ripples out towards your business, your clients, their families, and other relationships, and on and on. Now, if you're a human with the secret struggle of food and you want support, there are many ways to get that support. You're getting support right now by listening to this podcast. You can get support by subscribing to Substack. If you want personal guidance with a group of people who understand this struggle, join me inside Cultivate. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can be informed the next time that we're open. And if you simply aren't ready for anyone else to hear about your struggles, but you are ready for individual support and guidance, reach out and schedule a food freedom session to talk about what one-on-one coaching looks like. Now, if you are in a period of secret struggle right now, know that you can look back on it. In the future, it is very likely that you will be able to look back on this time as a time of immense growth. When I look back on that time when I was first starting my business, I have so much empathy and respect and just heart for that version of me. I'm also so grateful because if I didn't have those struggles, I wouldn't have continued to dive in and learned about the nervous system, which I truly believe is the foundation for everything. I might still be in the restrict binge cycle thinking I just need to change my food and change my thoughts. And I might still be blaming myself for my lack of control. I have so much empathy and so much respect for that version of me who never gave up. And I don't want you to give up either. There is hope. Change is possible. And it's okay to need some support and guidance along the way. In fact, I would argue that the way that the brain works, it just makes sense. This is how we overcome. We overcome through connection, through support, through guidance, through empathy, through understanding. That's how change happens. Change doesn't happen by staying hidden, by staying in secret. All right, that's what I have for you today. Next week, I'm back with Shelby Tuddy for part 2 of our discussion about perimenopause and disordered eating. I'll see you then. I want you to know that you're not alone in your journey. If you're a coach or healing professional helping others while privately battling your own food and body concerns, it's time to prioritize your own healing. Join the support circle for a safe space where you can be seen, understood, and supported. Turn your challenges into your superpower and watch the impact in your life and in the lives of your clients. Are you ready to stop the secret struggle? Join our next 11-week program starting on September 27th. Visit janepilger.com/struggle to learn more and secure your spot. Remember, your struggles don't define you, they refine you. You shouldn't have to struggle in silence. Get the support you deserve today. janepilger.com/struggle.